Welcome back to the channel, guys. This will be another addition to our Berserker series. In this case, it's going to be a Berserker Stalker, and like the most recent versions of this recording series, I am watching a prior recording of me completing this character and watching it along with you and kind of doing a commentary. So we'll watch it together and kind of go from there. Before we talk about Vine Stalkers, I'll note often one of the most easy early game deaths in any character, let alone a Berserker, is the dungeon level 1 Gnoll that we just encountered. And so unlike other species where that's almost a death trap, unless you get to D2 real quick or have some sort of like poison dart ready to kill him or something. For the Berserker, you can hopefully just kind of proactively berserk, and that should probably kill a single Gnoll. But word of warning is don't leave it too late, because a Gnoll can like 2-hit you early game, and so even if it's like, oh, I'll attack him regular for a few swings, sometimes that's not quick enough. You have to go right off the top, and so that's just a word of warning there. But anyway, what are we doing here? So Berserker, if you're not familiar, you are locked to the god, or not locked to, but you are starting with the god of Trog, and Trog likes melee. The A is a Berserk. It's literally the Berserk mechanic, like as we see here. There's risk to Berserk. You only have so many turns before the Berserk, the power up part of the Berserk runs out, and you are only given the negative side of Berserk. Also, with Berserk itself, once you're Berserk, you can't like interact with other consumables and things of that nature. So it's very challenging to escape from a bad Berserk equation, where you thought you could kill everything, but actually you're not going to kill everything by the end of the Berserk, and what do I do now? That's always a scary moment. Anyway, the B of Trog is Trog's Hand, and that one gives you some bonus will on a stick plus some regen. That's a great solution for early game poison if you don't have poison resist yet, and also being proactively defensive against caster types like early Orc Wizards and smiting priests of orc priests, and that's basically what you'll get access to early game. And then probably around the time of like mid layer to late layer, you start getting the third ability, which is summon a buddy with you. Usually it's like another ogre, or, something like that, something big. And that's cool. It's often used for like creating a little bit of extra throughput when you're about to berserk. Like you create a guy just to be your buddy for the whole berserk that's about to happen, or you use it in some cases to like create something that can block a path. Before we move off of this, here's a sewer. This sewer pattern has a specialty vault if you have flying. So just remember, if you have some sort of access to flying or enlightenment, don't forget that. That will be there for you in a sewer. But yeah, so that's kind of the berserking fight style. You see what's in front of you. Can I kill it regular? No. Can I kill it with berserk and not have a bad time on the other side? Well, then I can berserk. If not, can I kill it with just Trog's Hand and just be a willed character? You just got to do these equations, and if none of those are yes, then you should probably retreat. And then it's like, should I Trog's Hand before I start my retreat for like extra will and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of the summary of berserking. In terms of the character start, I like to start with axes, because berserking really works well with like this big axe cleave. So unless you have a species that's for some reason has to be like dex based and you have to go with like a sword or something, usually kind of axe is a great start. One thing with weapon training is that certain weapon schools cross-train across to others. So for example, maces is a great one where you don't want to commit to a specific school. You can start with maces, it spreads to basically everything, and then you can switch off of it. If you want to be like a Lajatang, maces is a good start because it also goes to staves. The only thing with axes is axes and polearms. And that can be a convenient crossover for dealing with things like hydras, where you have your best axe and you have your best polearm or mace, because axes trains to maces, but you don't get the things that mace just trains to. So maces as well. So it's always to keep in mind, you build up your axe, but also try to keep on you something that can work with hydras, or at least not make it worse. And so things like big maces, whips, pole arms, things like that. So we're just about to enter here we go, a necropolis. This is like the new ghost holder. Typically speaking, I will make this happen with a berserker, because the berserking can basically get you through any situation. However, as we can see here, I did not make it through. I just don't have a good enough axe yet. So I'm going to try to make it happen, but then I'm like, this isn't happening. I'm going to use my teleport, whatever. You can teleport into this map. You're not limited to teleporting somewhere else. So just remember, you can teleport away from whatever your encounter is in the necropolis, and then, restart. The ghosts tend to stay in their little hole, whereas the other things tend to leave. And so, you can't like fully kite them out and then just get all the items and go. The ghost will stay there, but you can at least spread the situation out. Yeah. And so this is a great source of like early game power. And so in particular, I noticed this mace. And it's a pretty good one. Now it's a two-handed dire flail. So it will have to, I'll have to drop my shield. That being said, I've only just picked up the shield. I have barely any training. So essentially what I'm thinking here is, until I get a better axe, until my shield training is done, I'll just put on this two-handed flail. It's incredible damage, and I'll just play it safe. I won't like try to force a cleave situation where I don't have cleave with the mace. So my playstyle now will adapt, and I'll kind of do a lot of pullbacks just to one-on-one things. But yeah, having like, I think it's about 30 damage on a flail, pretty good early game when it's like a one attack rate. So here's a case where you throw on Trog's hand because he's gonna smite you, or like do the undead version of smiting to you. But yeah, Berserking can get you through basically all the named bosses early game, as long as you just have it under control. So we haven't really talked about the species itself, which is Vine Stalker today. And so what's about Vine Stalkers? So Vine Stalkers, if you're not familiar, you can't use potions to heal yourself, which this means that healing potions are completely useless. Curing potions are useful for removing poison, like the negative effects of poisoned, but it doesn't heal you in any capacity. So for example, here, if I'm poisoned, I can consume a curing potion and it will resolve if I wanted to. The other thing with Vine Stalkers is that to replace this negative, they have a few positives. One is that they have a magic bite, so it's kind of like an anti-magic when you attack. So for example, if you get a broad axe of anti-magic, the anti-magic isn't really as useful as if you didn't have a built-in anti-magic. The other thing is that we have a built-in regen neck to replace this lack of healing from potions, and we have a built-in guardian spirit. And so this really opens you up for more coverage of what would normally be a single neck. So that's a good thing. Like, cool, you just have it. So like you can get like a, what's it called? What's the neck that lets you kind of run around and get like bonus evasion when you're walking? Whatever that one's called. Or you can get like a neck of reflect, or double up on the on regen aptitudes or something like that. You can't double up on guardian spirit. Guardian spirit is guardian spirit. But so it can open that up. But also if it's like, oh no, all I'm getting is guardian spirit and whatever next, it's like, well, dang. But it is what it is. And then Vine Stalkers, other than that, I believe there's something else. I think maybe you can I don't know. But anyway, here we are. The nice thing about this mace is I have flying, which is going to be helpful here to here. But okay, so that's kind of like Vine Stalkers. So when you combine Vine Stalker with Berserker, you kind of double up on that kind of assistive healing with its regen plus Trog's hand. However, you lose out on like instantaneous heals. Oh, I should note you also don't heal with Ambrosia. That's the other one. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're starting off with. And so now that we've kind of caught up the species combo and whatnot, where are we at here? Well, so far we've been working our way down dungeon. My normal pattern for any character is usually get to dungeon 11 or so, and then kind of go into the layer path. And so we're just finishing up our dungeon 10. We'll see if I go down to 11. I believe I do. I recorded this episode, or the content that you're going to see, maybe like 2 hours ago or so. So the early game is a little hazy, you know. It's a trade-off. Sometimes I'll record live, like I'm really playing it, I'm really talking, I'm really using the camera. But sometimes it's nice to just kind of zoom through a game, especially with a species like this. I should note we are on trunk, so this is 0.34, or what will be 0.34, and so as you can see, we have the Doom counter. That I think the character's name is Natasha, or maybe not. No, that's the Felid. Whatever that character's name is, they're like now a Doom character, and you got to be very careful because the mobs that usually accompany it will get you to like 23 to 40 Doom, and if you let that creature, that boss name, shoot off on you, you may get a Bane early game, and you really don't want to get a Bane. Yeah, so here we are in D11, and as you'll probably quickly notice, we're going to get a weird or a very risky D11. Here's Trog. Trog drops weapons, so I'll pick them up as I see them. My goal is always to build out a nice broadaxe, put on a nice shield, and have like a backup, like if the broadaxe isn't of flame, to also have something that manages hydras if I need to do that. So those are my weapon goals. But anyway, this is a very dangerous D11, and this is why. Look at all that. If someone accidentally auto walks into 5 to 6 electric eels, you're gonna have a bad time. So what are ways to solve this? Either poke and prod, hopefully with a wand of flame. Wand of flames are great at addressing eels, or simply just ignore and don't go there. You don't need to kill everything. So unless like your lair is in the middle of all the eels, who cares? Just block it off. First, I make some attempts at trying to kill it, and then I'm like, no, I'm just gonna block this off and auto explore. And sometimes you get these annoying little scenarios where the auto explore will just continuously bring you back to the rim of the water. So then I'm like manually doing it. I'm like, okay, come on. And you'll see a few times in this game it auto explores me to this position, and I'm like, geez, just get me away from this place. But yeah, so far so good. Sometimes the hardest time is getting to like this end of dungeon era. Once you get a nice weapon, get some armor going, maybe get some aptitudes and some rings or something going, you're probably pretty good. Another kind of bottleneck to an early game is not knowing your potions and scrolls, and so always try to get those unlocked. But here we are entering our lair. So the thing with Berserkers is they will often make an easy game out of named creatures where others starting combinations might struggle. Just make sure you do it in a safe manner. If you're going to Berserk that you're going to win it, So here I'm not going to just immediately Berserk because I don't know if I'm going to win it yet, but I'll use my Trog's hand, I'll kill things, and then like if I feel like I need to Berserk, I could have at that point because I know I'll live to the other side. With Sonja here, always check to see if it's a Sonja that can put you to Abyss. If it is, get away. If it's not, well, maybe you'll get Karara'd once or whatever, but just take it out. One trick with Sonja is it likes to run away if you're not ranged. So if you pop it with a few ranged things, it might be convinced to stay a little bit longer, and then your melee can do some real damage before it teleports away or blinks away. Cool. So we're just gonna clear our way through our lair. A raven is a new creature in Trunk. It does Doom as well, and so look, our Doom is at 63. That's pretty scary. It takes time to work down Doom, and if by chance you get baned from 100% of a Doom, you'll in the your weirdness level, I believe, as like a mutation, it'll say you've been baned, and it's going to be 1.2 XLs away, and then that number reduces as you get more experience, and then the bane disappears. I find that if I ever do get baned in this game, so far in Trunk, it happens around here. Like you haven't worked off enough bane or doom that you've acquired in your dungeon time, but you haven't leveled fast enough that it gets quickly worked down. And so I find it's like, if you're gonna ever get baned, it's in lair, which can be very risky because some banes are very, very challenging, especially early game. So I've got a war axe, so I'm thinking like, okay, cool, I've got a war axe, I can deal with hydras even if I get no more weapons. But I would like a broad axe to build, because around late layer is when I can start swinging a broad axe like it's nothing, and so that's when I want to do that. The other thing is sometimes you just don't get broad axes, and that's always scary. That's going to be a part of my thoughts very shortly here. I believe I very shortly get an acquirement, and the choices are a little tough. I think like the next thing I identify is an acquirement scroll, if I'm not mistaken. Also, this is a body piece, I believe, right above us that I'll use for basically the rest of the game. You don't have to be like a chainmail is perfectly fine if it has the right aptitudes and such. So I'll be wearing a chainmail basically the whole game from now on, even though I'm this big brooding, berserker type. So let's see. Do I use the identify? Oh no, I don't think it's yet. It's whenever I get a one of next, I believe that's the acquirement. And we'll see. I'll get a very tough choice. So here we are. I swapped to the axe for the cleave just to get that going. But I will still default to this mace until I get a stronger axe situation. And then you can just kind of no-brain it, just kind of shred everything, even if it's one target. I don't have Arlek, but I can kill like one electric eel, no problem. But it's the issue was that there was like 6 or 7 originally in that whole lake in D11, so that's where you'll get like 2 shot, or more so you'll get shot by 4 things within the span of 2 turns, and then you die. Notable, nice Lajatang. I love a Lajatang, although I do love shields, and so it's like Lajatang versus shield, unless you're like a Formicid where you can have like a Lajatang plus a shield. Now that's the real stuff right there. Yeah, but this is a really nice mace that I picked up. Don't be afraid to like use weird weapons until you got what you planned on using, because this thing really solves a lot of problems. It like drains, it's got a lot of throughput. It has other aptitudes like flying, which are really cool. I pull back because Nessos is a very scary named creature. I also like summoning a guy when you do Nessos, because Nessos might teleport from you, but he might not teleport from your guy. And so it adds that kind of safety net, because otherwise he'll just kind of teleport, blink away, and you'll never get to touch Nessos as a melee character. And then that can often lead to deaths, because he's a very potent creature. He'll just like snipe you, 3-shot you kind of thing. There's my requirement. So look, it's evocations, which I love, especially on a Berserker, which can't use a lot of other things. A really nice cloak, 2 AC on a cloak with strength and dex. That's a solid cloak. But I'm like, it's a +4 broad axe of whatever, in this case, Alek. I don't know if I'm going to get a broad axe. So I'm like, okay, I'll just get a broad axe. Now, spoiler alert, in this game, I get so many broad axes. I actually don't even use this particular broad axe for very long. But you got to play for the worst case. And the worst case is you get no broad axes. And if you're playing a Berserker axe character, you got to use a broad axe. Now, my mistake is enchanting it up to 5, because I almost immediately get, like, I think it's a 6 or something. Um, and so it's like, oh, I could have been one more on the thing I eventually used longer, but whatever. You can only play for when you're playing right now. So as you can see here, well, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to use the stairs, but I'm going to go down. I can quickly kill a Hydra, no problem, and then switch back to the axe because it's not an axe of freezing or of fire, of flame, I guess is technically the name. Um, this is a very dangerous encounter. I think I even do a whole runaway from it. Eventually, maybe not. Yes, I do, because this fire guy is very dangerous. But I actually mention it's dangerous because of the snails. The Vorpal snails are one of the most negatively affixing creatures in the game. It was so scary that it made me berserk, but then I get caught from around the corner with a more dangerous creature. So this was very scary. Remember, I am a Vine Stalker. I cannot use a healing potion, or like I can't use it to do something. So my next best thing is to distract whatever I'm afraid of as much as possible so that I can use the time of running away as well as regenning. And it's kind of like its own healing potion. So in this case, I use butterflies because creatures like this are fully distracted by butterflies, and so you can have that breathing room. Later on, you'll see I use evocations a lot to distract or cause confusion to mobs so that I can get some distance for healing purposes. But yeah, if you don't have evocations, well, squirrels can do a lot. Maybe you have our poison and use a poison scroll to like create barriers and then walk through the poison and things don't follow you. Butterflies, summoning scrolls, fear scrolls are going to be a big deal for things that are fearable. Blinking scrolls to get some distance. If you have the time, teleport scrolls. Really nice heavy executioner's axe from our god, but I don't go with executioners simply because they don't let me use shields, and so that's a consideration there. But while I couldn't probably poke in there, by the way, that was an accidental use of a throwing net. I meant to do a boomerang just to kite him in, but because of my resistances, I can and my flying, I can just kind of run in here, kill out these dragons that you might not kind of run your face into normally. But things like this, it might be good to like kite away, spread them out, that kind of thing. But with Berserker, if you have the Berserker math, it is possible just to Berserker through or whatever. Cool. It's nice to see that Fire Dragon scales. If I need fire resistance on a stick, you can swap out your, that. Looks like we got some Ice Dragon scales, which is nice. And so I kind of now have emergency prepared resistances. And so I pick those up because in Trunk, your inventory management is almost unnecessary because you have basically all your evocables and consumables are no longer on inventory counting. So you can be more loose in your pickups. So now it's like, oh, if I get a ice cave or a volcano, I can just put that body piece on and temporarily cap out my resistances or whatever. You always got to keep in mind what the potential future is and use your items as playing for edge cases and in some cases worst case scenarios, things like that. Anyway, so we're moving into our orc. Don't go into orc even though you have all this power, or into the like final den of orc out of nowhere. Clear your edges, work your way, build out your safety, your escapes, your stairs. In this case, I'm trying to fish out this named guy. He's usually very deadly for like caster types. For me, I just berserk and I'm just on his level, and I'm a stronger character. That's the kind of equation you do there. This is a scary moment for like fire resistance, so I will play my edges here and then berserk through. Remember, I have the anti-magic bite as a Vine Stalker, so that can help for controlling caster enemies. But yeah, right now my weaknesses are like ranged creatures with good poke and getting overwhelmed. So like use your edges like this. Keep up the regen if I can get it. If I feel any exposure, berserk when you can. Of course, I actually played a little too risky here. But the good news is my throughput is strong enough that I could actually get through a negative of Berserk around this corner for a little bit here, and then kind of reset the experience. But yeah, that could have been really bad if I had pushed through. Yep, but I do have anti-magic bite, so some of these things aren't as bad as they might normally be with the cleave. But here you see like there's a Berserker axe. I'm going to get a bunch of Berserker axes. So anyway, we're just about done our orc. A few more things to kill, but otherwise I'll note the things worth buying. I do have a lot of gold, but I'm not like desperate to buy things. Although as you can see here, I see a broad axe of flame, so I'm gonna go pick that up shortly as well, because my ideal. I don't know if you caught it earlier, but I have passed my temple, and in Trunk, your temple tells you what kind of orb you're going to be dealing with. And in this case, I'm going to be dealing with the Orb of Entropy, I believe is the name. And this is an orb that does Bolt of Draining, so our negative is strong. I mean, if you want to be special about it, you can put on that neck that does Dissipation, that removes your like negative effects quicker. And it also does Corrosion Acid Bolt. And so it's like either you prepare to attack an Orb of Winter with a Flaming and get Frost resistance. You're prepare for an Orb of Fire, the classic Oof, where you get fire resistance. And I mean, if you want to get like a Draining Axe or a or like an Axe of Ice. And then now the new Entropies, which is also new, like the Orb of Winter, where you want to get corrosion resistance, you want to get our negative, and I mean, just kill it, any way you want to as quickly as possible. Yeah, and so anyway, we're done our lair, we're done our dungeon up to 11, and now we're going to clear our way down to 12, or to 15, that is. And pro tip, if you get these glass cases and you have digging and you want to waste your digging or use your digging, you can break into there. No problem. Yeah. So yeah, we're just going to clear down to D15, and then we'll move on to our the start of our kind of mid game, the part of the game where you're trying to collect your runes, your first 2 in your S branches usually, unless you're like the Jiva, where you do all 3 in the S branches, or something, I don't know, odd like Lugonu, and you do Abyss for free. Or actually, I don't even know how Lugonu, I don't think they get it for free, they just get out to escape cleaner. Anyway, yeah, or I don't know if you're doing some weird tournament game where you don't do your S branches, but whatever. But yeah, so the plan is to do our S branches after our dungeon. If you didn't catch it, our branches are Shoals and Snake. Shoals will be fine today because I do have flying, which is very helpful for Shoals, especially if you're a melee character, where like things that normally get in your way with as a melee character on Shoals and force you to do like extra gameplay, like using corners to like leash in and stuff like that, you don't have as much of a problem because you can fly. And Snake, we do have our resistances already built up. Like we've gotten some good rings and such, and good armor resistances. So I'm not too afraid of like our poison and corrosion and stuff like that. It's also nice to get Snake because theoretically you're going to get some good shields there. And as a build, a combo that will probably take strong advantage of shielding, I will not complain for the chances of early tower shields or whatever, a fixed, shields like, shield of resistance, shield of reflect, shield of, protection, shield of whatever. Those are always nice too. Anyway, we got a Gozeg store. That's always funny to see. I always note the weird little Gozeg items that are like for 5,000 gold. You can buy this weird thing, where it's like normally you're never going to get 5,000 gold unless you're Gozeg. But anyway, it's always funny to see. And if you really don't have anything to spend on, sometimes it actually becomes purchasable within reason. Yeah. So I'm just enchanting up that Broad Axe of Flame. As you can see, we've quickly built it up to a +7. It could have been a +8 had I held off enchanting the Elec one, but it is what it is. But the downside of getting Shoals and Snake is that we didn't get a swamp, and so our optimal Hydra weapon is not necessarily going to be used for Hydras today. But that's fine. Whatever. It's a great weapon. No complaints. So I realize at this point I'm always enchanting or investigating scrolls. I probably should try to find stuff. But that being said, thinking about it, potions are less potent in for this kind of character because I don't have healing. Anyway, I kind of poke into my snake here, and then I realize, oh, we're about 30 minutes out. And so this will probably be the end of episode 1 of this character. Next episode, we will delve into our snake and have a lot of fun. So thanks for watching this episode, and I'll see you next time where we do our S branch runes. So see you in a bit.